first install Estimate Master from the App Store, you'll notice there's really nothing in it. It's not too interesting. It's just a blank slate. It's like a spreadsheet program with no data in it. And that's because Estimate Master is intended to be set up by the user. In other words, if you know your business better than anyone else, and you know your parts and material pricing, you know your labor costs and tasks that you do to perform your jobs. So if you spend some time up front entering your material and parts and labor tasks and rates and so forth, it's a one-time activity and it's time well spent. Estimate Master is a database program and such it remembers everything you put into it. So you just, a one-time activity, put in your labor rates and material and parts pricing, and once you do that, you can create estimates very quickly, very accurately, and consistently. So let's go through the operation of the program. You'll notice on the bottom of the screen there are 6 tabs, and that's basically how you navigate through the program, is by using these tabs. The customer tab on the left is for customers. Create a new customer, touch the plus button, enter the contact information, and then navigate through customers with the arrow keys on the top right. The estimate screen on the bottom left is the customer name, which is the same as the customer name on the estimate screen, but just that one line of the customer name, and then to the right are the projects, estimate projects for that customer. So if you want to add a new estimate project, you just touch the customer, touch the plus key to the right of that, and now you've got an estimate. At this point it's a blank estimate, but it's an estimate. Parts and materials screen is blank initially, and labor is also blank. I'm going to take a shortcut here, which you might want to do as well, and that is to import a sample database, which is just a database, a small one, to illustrate to you how the program works. So I'm going to import it. Actually, this comes out of the cloud feature I have in the program, but so now I've got a database in the program. And let's take a look more at the program with the data. So I've got some data in there. I've got customers. If I go to the customer screen, I've got contact information, so forth. Let's pick a customer. I got 3 customers here now. Pick on a customer, touch it, and then touch the estimate to the right of it. I've got, in this particular customer, I've got two different estimates, one with 5 items and then one with 6 items, and you see the totals. Be aware that the pricing you see reflects any markup and taxes that you have assigned, and you do that assigning a markup and taxes on the Preferences tab. You see that you get multiple tax rates, and you may have multiple tax rates for different customers depending on where they are located. Like in Minnesota, for example, we have different counties with different tax rates. So when I'm doing an estimate, I pick you probably have already entered these tax rates. I assign the one that's appropriate for that customer, and then just touch the add buttons here. Same with markups. You may have different markups for different customers, so, or you may have a different markup for material than you do for labor. You just touch the one you want, touch add, and that's all there is to it, really. If you go back to the estimate screen, the print button will not print an estimate that you would give to a customer until you've assigned markups and taxes. So be aware of that. Let's go to the parts and materials screen. On the upper right are the unit types. You can define any unit type. There's really no limit to what you can assign. You can have multiple complex unit types like inch pounds or foot pounds, or assign those, click a couple of them, and then click add, and then done, and you've created a new unit type. So when you create a material type, a material item, you first touch the type of it. It is, if it's a per unit like each or per foot, and then you touch the plus button lower left. Now you give it a name or description. Give it a code. The code is just a quick reference to it. It's helpful to have a short code, alphanumeric designation, whatever you want. You pick up, make your own codes. Put the pricing in there. This is a per foot, so if it's per foot, then you put a per foot pricing in. And when you're done, you touch done, and that's all there is to it. To add a material item to an estimate, you just touch the arrow button under the add column, and then it goes into the estimate. Labor, on the labor tab, works pretty much the same way, but on here we have at least one labor rate. In fact, you may have different labor rates for different employees who are more skilled or less skilled. So you pick a labor rate on the upper right, touch the plus button on the left, give a description, give it a code. How long is this going to take in terms of hours or minutes? Touch enter, touch done. Now I've got a new labor task for a given rate. And I think I touched on the preferences. My company tab on the top of the screen is this contact information for your company. And some of this data appears in some of the reports you send. On the lower left there's terms, so you can put in, for example, boilerplate text that you want to appear in every estimate that you give to a customer, whatever the terms you are, any kind of text that you want to appear in every estimate. And then to the right of that is estimator. So if you have one or more people doing estimating, you assign the estimator by clicking the right arrow to the right of the name, and then that goes into the estimate on the estimate screen. So you can keep track of who's doing which estimate by name. That can be handy. And also there's a date you created the estimate and whether or not it's been approved or not. On the materials and parts and labor screen, the lower right, you'll see a grid called assemblies. Assemblies are just like you might think they are. They're just assembly is a collection of materials and labor, which is a really powerful shortcut for creating estimates. And actually you can put in formulas in there, and you added a whole assembly just by touching the right arrow on the assembly line, and that whole assembly goes into the estimate, but you do need to have purchased the Pro version to enable assemblies. I think that's about all I'm going to talk about for overview.